Also joining us this afternoon is economist and former Deputy Governor ng BSP, Mr. Diwa Gunigundo. Sir, magandang hapon and welcome to Storycon.
Magandang hapon naman sa inyong lahat. Kasamang Ed, Secretary Ronald, at si Regina.
Secretary Ronald talaga.
Magandang hapon po.
Bakit si Ronald lang yung may secretary?
Dahil sasabihin ko kasi kay Mr. Gunigundo, nalayi ko binabasa yung column.
Yes. He loves your column. That's true.
Binabasa ko yung column nyo.
Sinasabi niya.
Ay, speaking of columns, sir, your Business
One
World...
of the few who talk sense.
Sir, your Business World column of 2021, you spoke about yung all those proposals as far back as 2021 to suspend the excise taxes on fuel. And you said na it would be a game changer in helping the poor, but at the same time you said it's in fact a regressive proposal. It's a very, very popular thing right now. I'm sure you know. Do you still hold the same position?
Well, I still hold the same position kasi kahit na tayo ay magtanggal ng excise tax, there is a corresponding cost to it. Kapag tayo ay nagtanggal ng tax, kahit na VAT, kahit na excise tax, yan ay nakaprograma na yan sa budget. At ito ay dapat magpunta halimbawa sa education, number 1, number 2, public health, and number 3, infrastructure. Kapag yan ay tinanggal natin, okay, mawawalan ngayon ng pampondo doon sa mga importanteng public expenditure. Saan po tayo kukuha niyan? Especially at this time, mahirap ang buhay. Ang gagawin ng gobyerno, dalawang option. Number 1, magpatong ng panibagong tax. And this is going to be self-contradictory. Nagbababa ka ng tax o nagtatanggal ka ng tax on one hand, and on the other hand, nagtataas ka. And the second option is really to pile up more debt. Uutang at uutang ang gobyerno. Pero alam naman natin, in the last 6 years, ang gobyerno nakapagtala na from 7.7 trillion pesos. That was in 2019, equivalent to just about 40% of GDP. Ngayon, umabot na ng 18 billion, which is more than 63% of GDP. Saan kukunin ang ipambabayad na yan?
Yeah.
So, kinakailangan magkaroon ng masusing pag-aaral ang ating economic managers kung ano ang dapat gawin. Maaari, halimbawa, ang VAT, which is simpler to administer, simpler to adjust, but the adjustment should be time-bound. Hindi dapat pang matagalan yan kasi saan naman kukuha ang gobyerno, pamalit doon. So, I still hold the same view that the government should be more careful, more circumspect in dealing with tax subsidies or tax adjustment, especially at this time.
DG, what about a wealth tax, which I know Ronald loves, and now is also being proposed, pero sabi ng Malacanang, it might
Capital flight.
turn away investors.
Capital flight.
Well,
what
in
do you
many
think?
of my columns, I also advocated wealth tax. And this started with many millionaires and billionaires at the World Economic Forum several years ago. Ang sabi nila, why don't you tax us? No? It will not make a dent in our wealth. Ngunit yung makukuha mula sa wealth tax na ito ay napakalaking bagay para i-mitigate ang sitwasyon, especially ng mga mahihirap. Ngayon, I know it's a political issue. I know it's going to be explosive. But I think the government will have to take a stand, no? Dito sa mga bagay na ito. Sa ibang bansa, kinukonsider na ang wealth tax. Dito sa atin, mas urgent, mas imperative na i-consider yung pagpapataw ng wealth tax because number 1, poverty is widespread. And number 2, income inequality is very inequitable. Okay? So the urgency here sa Pilipinas ng pagpapataw ng wealth tax o kahit na monopoly tax ay dapat na i-consider ng gobyerno. At tatamaan lang naman dyan yung nandoon sa itaas. And they will not mind it. No?
Katulad ni
They will not
Ronald.
mind it, I'm sure.
Ang problema dyan, Mr. Gunigundo, ang problema dyan, yung mag-aaproba ay either wealthy or hawak ng mga wealthy.
Nasa upper
Diyan
decile.
diyan po papasok, Secretary, yung pong tinatawag nating the power of public opinion. Okay? Kung mas marami sa atin ang magkakaisa, Hindi lamang sa gobyerno, kundi dun sa ilang mga cost-oriented groups doon po sa Kongreso at sa Senado, assuming they are enlightened, maipapasok at maipapasok po natin yan. Yung walang silbing Maharlika Fund na ipasok nila at nagawang batas ano pa itong importanteng bagay na maipapasok natin?
pero sir,
Kaunti ang tatamaan, ngunit
sir,
marami ang
Oo.
makikinabang.
pinasa nila yung Maharlika despite strong public opinion against it. Diba? We were all questioning the source of funds.
It was,
how
to
it will be
me,
used?
Regina, it was not as noisy as necessary. Hindi ganun kaingay. Hindi ganun kaingay. At saka isa pa, that was railroaded in both the Senate and the
Yes.
House.
It was certified as urgent despite the lack of an emergency.
In 1 year.
Certified urgent. Mr. Gunigondo, yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, no? Tama naman yung sabi nyo, nasa budget na yan, tapos pag tinanggal mo, ay may mga complications. Pero nakita rin natin itong nakaraang taon or past 2 years, gaano kadami yung leakages sa ating budget. Hindi lamang sa
Ay,
usapin
madami.
ng hindi lang sa usapin ng incompetence.
Kanina sinabi ninyo yung tungkol sa the need to reset governance in the Philippines. Sa corruption at corruption lang ay napakalaki ng leakages.
Yes. O
Kaya
sasabihin
kung
ng mga
halimbawa
tao,
talagang masusugpo ang corruption sa ating bansa, po pwede natin bawasan yung ilang mga taxes. Pwede nating ayusin ang iba't iba pang mga gastusin ng gobyerno. Halimbawa sa PhilHealth, mapapalalawak natin ang coverage sa ating population. Mapapalawak natin ang coverage sa mga dreaded disease. Upang sa ganon, mas maraming Pilipino ang makinabang at hindi mamatay dahil sa kahirapan. It's important na makita ito ng ating pamahalaan. Napakarami ng pwedeng gawin kung ang corruption o bad governance ay masusugpo lamang dito sa ating bansa.
kaya nga, yun ang gusto ko sabihin, Mr. Gunigondo. Pag sinabi natin na, mababawasan yung budget because kung magkaroon ng suspension ng excise tax or EBAT tax sa fuel at saka food, no? Yes, mababawasan. Pero ang sasabihin naman ng iba, kung babarahan natin yung ibang leakages like inefficiency, mismanagement, at saka corruption, hindi ko pa sinasama yung stupidity dahil ang hirap i-quantify nun. No? So, ibig sabihin, itong mawawala ay mapupunuan naman. No? Mapupunuan naman. No? Kaya, baka yun naman yung argument ng iba dito sa pag-suspend ng excise or possible EBAT at a particular state of emergency. At ikatlo, hindi naman to tinitignan na stand-alone. Dapat ito kasama yung iba pang gagawin, yung iba pang reform.
Correct,
Dahil
correct.
kung stand-alone, maliit lang talaga yan. Pero kung may ibang kasabay na gagawin yung gobyerno, pwedeng mas maganda yung impact during a time of emergency at saka crisis.
Well, we have no fundamental objection kung i-adjust natin ang VAT o kaya yung excise tax. Ang excise tax nga lamang ay mas komplikado. Ang VAT ay mas straightforward. So for a more simplified implementation, one can consider adjustment in the VAT, no? That's number one. Number two, dapat din nating malaman na ito ay dapat time-bound at hindi panghabang panahon, no?
Correct.
Kinakailangan time-bound yon and targeted. Sino ba ang makikinabang doon sa makukuhang, doon sa matitipid
Yeah.
o sa maibababa ng mga tax na ito? Okay? Kinakailangan well-targeted and well-specified. Halimbawa, transport sector. Sila yung unang-unang tatamaan sa pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina. Pangalawa, yung pong ating mga farmers at ating mga fishermen, sapagkat sila yung gumagamit ng mga fertilizer, pesticides at gasolina mismo, lalong-lalo na doon sa ating mga mangingisda, no? So dapat maliwanag yung kung sino yung ating tutulungan. Ngayon, yung iba naman sinasabi nating highly disadvantaged at saka the poor among the poorest among the poor, meron naman tayong 4Ps, no? Meron na tayong mga ayuda dyan. Siguro ang gagawin na lamang dyan, depende na rin sa masusing pag-aaral, ay magkaroon lang ng dagdag at iwasan din yung mga leakages, yung mga kinukupit, no? Kaya kanina sinasabi ni Edgar tungkol doon sa paggamit ng financial technology, maiiwasan yun kung walang cash na ibibigay at ito ay pararatingin lang sa pamamagitan ng online na payment doon sa mga beneficiaries. So wala po tayong issue doon, Secretary. Number two, gusto ko ring linawin na totoo, itong mga ganitong adjustments sa taxes o kaya pag-grant ng mga tax subsidies, lower adjustments sa ating mga taxes, dapat ay samahan din ito ng una, Bangko Sentral. Ano dapat na monetary response ng BSP? Nag-meeting sila kahapon and they decided to keep interest rates. Well, in many of my columns, sinabi natin noon, last year pa dapat nag-pause ang BSP. Kasi nga napakarami nang nangyayari. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So kung nag-pause sila, kahit magtaas sila ngayon, hindi mabibigla ang merkado. Number two, yung tinatawag nating management of the foreign exchange. Totoo na sa panahon ngayon, ang ating foreign exchange system ay independent float. In other words, hands-off ang Bangko Sentral sa pagsasaayos ng foreign exchange. No? Pumapasok lang ang BSP kapag merong extreme or very serious volatility sa merkado. Ngunit ngayon, po pwede naman na magbigay ng kaunting intervention ng BSP because it's necessary, no, to make sure na yung 60 ay hindi umabot ng 61, 62, etc., etc. There's nothing so magical about 60, 61, or 62. Ang problema lang, dahil ito mismo yung sinabi ng ating Pangulo na dapat hindi lumagpas ng 60, ito ay nagkaroon ng psychological impact sa mga market players. Kapag umabot ng 60, maraming mga business players or business owners of business, no, ang gagawin niyan, mag-speculate na yan. O kaya mag-hedge na yan ng sobra. So the more pressure there will be doon po sa foreign exchange market. And the peso, instead of being more stable, could even weaken to the detriment of the common good. Tataas ang inflation, tataas ang presyo ng bilihin, sapagkat maraming imported products sa atin ay mamamahal dahil sa humihina naman ang ating piso.
Here is the counter-argument ni Governor Remolona, which is, this is a supply problem. Ang tools nila daw mostly work if it's a demand problem. Of course, they can dampen market appetite or they can increase it using the interest rates. The problem in this time is walang supply or maybe the supply is restricted. And then, of course, with the peso naman, sabi nila, there is a threshold that they're watching, pero right now, they don't want to have to defend it kasi hindi naman daw nga wild fluctuations.
Kaya hindi sila mag-i-intervene.
Well,
Hindi
that is
muna.
not exactly true. No? That's not exactly true. True na talagang ito ay supply problem. There is a tightening supply ng langis, ng dolyar sa ating bansa. Ngunit ang lahat ng mga yan, kapag pinagsama-sama natin, if we start connecting the dots, that will translate to what? One, price pressures. Number two, inflation expectations could be disanchored. It can be upset. Okay? And therefore, that becomes a demand problem. In fact, if you take a look at both the core inflation and the headline inflation, core inflation today is higher than the headline inflation. What does it show? It shows that demand pressure is already building up. So it is time for the BSP to act. Not only that, I think kahapon nung nag-meeting, may panibagong forecast ang BSP at ito sa aking pagkakaalam ay lumagpas ng 2 to 4%. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun, the BSP, it's time for the BSP to start considering tightening monetary policy. So it's not entirely true that this is completely a supply problem. No, demand pressures are already building up.
You're right. I think I heard could hit 5% by April.
Yes.
That's a projection.
And that
during,
is a signal that the monetary authority should start tightening monetary policy.
and during an emergency or a crisis like this, nagiging dominant yung psychology. Dahil
Correct.
ang economics naman is not purely rational. It is psychological.
It's behavioral.
Oh, it's behavioral.
Yeah.
It's about emotions.
In fact,
At ngayon,
one
sa
of
crisis
the
na ito,
factors
it's about
driving
emotions.
exchange rate movement is sentiment. Kapag ang mga tao walang tiwala o mahina ang tiwala, halimbawa sa gobyerno o kaya sa piso o kaya sa kakayahan ng mga nasa posisyon na mag-ayos ng ating kabuhayan, maaaring humina ang piso laban sa dolyar.
Sir, how worried are you about growth? Because even though this war ends tomorrow or a week from now or whenever, of course may mga
Long-term repercussions.
long-term repercussions itong war na to in terms of the supply, in terms of the prices. Mababa na nga tayo eh. We hit 4.4.
Even before the crisis.
Yes, we hit 4.4 yesterday.
Pababa na
Yeah.
yung
We
ating-
started the Marcos administration at, was it 6? In the line of 6%. And we hit 4 last year. And then now this war. How worried about you about our growth prospects?
Well, I have been worried about growth since the other year.
So mas lalo
Why?
na ngayon.
There are telltale signs. One, our total factor productivity. Ito yung productivity, no, ng iba't ibang factors of production, land, labor, no, at mismong capital. So kapag ganyan ay bumababa, ang ibig sabihin niyan, yung kaninang sinasabi na there's got to be a reset in our production. We need to be more efficient. We need to be more productive. This is not happening, no? This is not happening. In fact, we can address the issue of productivity by way of introducing innovations, use of AI, machine learning mechanisms, etc., etc. This is not happening. Efficiency of government, efficiency of the private sector and the rest of the business community. Kung makikita natin yung I-Core, no? I talked about this, Regina, dun sa ating mga previous
Yeah, I know.
Bloomberg interviews,
Yeah.
no? Yung incremental capital output ratio. Tumataas yan. So pag tumataas yan, ibig sabihin, sa halip na 1 unit lang ng kapital, ang iyong dapat na gamitin to produce 1 unit of output, you have to use 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. Tumataas yan. So we are getting to be less productive and getting to be less efficient. So that's one. Number two, yung tinatawag nating investment, ano? Ang investment sa infrastructure, investment in human capital, that can go a long way to establish a longer trend of stronger momentum of economic growth. That is not happening. If we take a look at the last quarter of the year, 2026, makikita natin doon, bumagsak ang investment, no? From 7.7 to I think 2.1, minus 2.1. Ang laking bagay nun. Kasi ito yung nagbibigay ng mga factories, naglalatag ng mga tulay at ng mga kalsada, ng mga dams, etc., etc., to make sure that we have the wherewithals, that we have the resources to fund and finance economic growth. That's not happening. In fact, nagne-negative pa yung growth ng investment. And of course, human capital. Alam natin ang result noong huling pagtatasa, no, ng ating mga senior high school students. We are at the bottom. We are at the bottom sa mathematics, sa science, and reading. And we are also behind in terms of creative thinking. So to 30 years from now, what kind of leaders can we expect? Barely literate in science, math, and arithmetic, and incapable perhaps of creative thinking. So ano nga asahan natin 20 to 30 years from now? That is a sad
ngayon pa
reality.
lang, Mr. Cuniconto, barely literate na eh.
No, ano, we need a glass half full.
Teka lang. I have to end this there, but we'll invite you back on the show, DG, kasi there's still so many more things that we can talk about.
Sure.
Especially solutions.
Especially solutions. Part 2, we'll get to the solutions naman.
Medyo depressing kasi.
What we can do, right, to head off that scenario wherein our leaders are barely literate. But for now, we'll leave that there. Thanks so much for talking to us, former BSP
Sure,
Deputy
sure.
Governor Diwa Kinikundo.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir Gun